Are the Detroit Lions just get excellent draft news? Something I don't think we're really even thinking about or even noticed. Craig, I'll ask you, what's our biggest needs going into the draft? If you just off the top of your head, a couple things that we need.
Couple of things we need. There's a couple of things we need. I think most of them go on the defensive side of the ball, especially when you watched us unable to stop the Commanders in the last game of the year. That became painfully obvious. But everything starts up front, doesn't it? We just
Yep.
watched the Eagles win a Super Bowl because they dominated the line of scrimmage. It was really that simple. They dominated the line of scrimmage. So when you talk about greatest need, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to say defensive line. But Chris, I'm gonna add something to that. I'm actually gonna go edge because yes, our best player on the defensive line is Aiden Hutchinson, but there's no depth. There's no depth behind him at edge. So I think we need to have a solid number 2 option and number 3 and number 4.
Perfect. And totally agree. And so if we look at who's going to be available in this draft, there are a ton of defensive ends.
Yes.
And
Yes,
this hasn't been the case in the past because we've not addressed the defensive end position in drafts. Brad Holmes has killed it, but man. So let me just run through these kind of quick and you can kind of make your comments as we go. But of course, these top guys we're not going to see, but just this big board rank and kind of keep an eye. That's a general idea of when they would go off, right? Or, but Abdul Carter, great.
James Pierce, no chance.
Yep, no chance. Good.
Mm-hmm.
Mike Green now. This is a guy that was down around us. He's now in the big board 11.
We had a chance until the Senior Bowl where he showed out and then just left practice. He was just like, all right, I got one practice. I ran over a guy. See ya. That's legitimately what he did, which is hilarious to me.
So now we get into Michael Williams. We get down here where, all right, this is the 4th best edge in the draft. And you can kind of see some of the names that are starting to pop here. Texas A&M guy and
Shamar Stewart, good size, good length. Like he's one of those kind of guys like that Brad Holmes, we always talk about how he likes those guys that can play the run and pass and they have the good size and length. He's definitely one of them.
Love that. And here's, so if you go over here to Tankathons, I just as a quick look at these edges that just start. So Abdul Carter, we just talked about, but then this might be hard to see, but it's just like
Michael Williams. No, you can see it.
Edge. Edge. So
edge.
And you get down to where we are here and it's
edge.
So there's a ton of edges. And I think big picture, and we'll get back to some of these guys and kind of dive into them, a couple that we really like, but this means remember all of the guys that are available via trade, Khalil Mack, Myles Garrett. This seems to kind of drive that price down because it's like, we'll just draft one. There's a ton of them. So maybe we'll just draft one. What are your thoughts on that happening?
Yeah, my thoughts are that makes a lot of sense to me. I don't know if you are kind of like me. I think about our drafts that we've had, and it never seems, we don't seem to fall in the first round. Other rounds, you can say what you want. In the first round, we haven't really seemed to fall where the talent fits the need, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So we're sitting here, and when we drafted Aiden Hutchinson at number 2 overall, that was the year that there were no quarterbacks, and everybody was clamoring for a new quarterback. Turned out we were just fine. Brad Holmes didn't lose his nerve on that one. Right? I don't think about that. I think when we had the number 6 overall pick, I think we wanted to go defensive back, but we ended up trading it back, got Gibbs. I don't know about you. I think the draft board will actually fall into our favor on this one, where best talent available might just be the need. And how nice is that? You don't want to draft for need. You want to draft best position available. But oh my goodness, how nice would it be if it was? I am all in on drafting an edge. And by the way, if you continue to look at those edges, there's a ton in the second round too. I think, second, third round, but I would love to spend some good first round capital on a game changer on the defensive line.
100%. And I think we might be in an interesting spot where for the first time in Brad Holmes's era here is we don't have, it was just get good players. We have a depleted roster. Now it's like, all right, you're not going to draft a running back. You're not, you can start checking off. We're not going to draft a tight end. You could start, you are at some point, which is a good thing, pigeonholed into we absolutely have a need, because everyone talks about they never want to draft for need. It's best player, but man, wouldn't it be nice if that kind of matched up this year for the first time since Brad Holmes has been here? You're so right. It's just like, well, let's just take this guy, and it's like, well, that's good, but we have not addressed defensive end since
Right.
Aiden Hutchinson. And by the way, I mean, I really just nobody knows what he'll be like coming back. We just kind of assume
No.
he's just superhero. He'll be back. It's like I don't know. So defensive end has to be addressed, and I don't know if it's via trade or via the draft.
And that was the thing. So it could be addressed obviously in three ways. You have trade, you have free agency, and you have the draft. I think you need to address it in the draft. I was just reading a really cool article about trusting Brad Holmes' process on the defensive side, and it was talking about the Eagles and how they have players and defensive linemen that they've drafted over the last 14 years, literally all the way back to Graham, right? And so like it takes time to build these guys up through the draft, and that's a good thing. Brad Holmes has already hit a couple of home runs on it, but there's free agencies that you can bring in if you don't trust this idea of, oh, you know what? I'm a little bit worried, and I don't think a free or a rookie is going to get it done right away. So can we look at some of the free agent options here?
Yes.
You got the big money guys. You got Khalil Mack. He's 34 years old. All right. He's going to be 34 when the season starts. And, I think on a 1-year deal, I got no problem with Khalil Mack because we have the salary cap room. We do. And I do always like to do this before we pop into this. We're 8th in the NFL with 56, almost 57 million left to spend. We can do some spending. The key is this year. So you got Josh Sweat coming over from the Eagles. Hassan Reddick, he's a little older again, 30 years old. He had all the back and forth contract. You just stop me if you see a guy that you're like, that's what I'm looking for. Yeah. Malcolm Kuntz. You got Baron Browning. He's going to be a little bit less expensive. Odiingbo, Chase Young, Azeez Ojulari. He's more that speed rusher type, but younger. Unproven. DeMarcus Lawrence, he's getting up there in age, but man, oh man, this guy was phenomenal. Dante Fowler Jr., was he important for the Commanders down the stretch? He absolutely was. So, I mean, there's a lot of these guys, Chauncey Golston, and a lot of them are supposed to get anywhere between 4 and 10 million.
Perfect.
Matthew Judon. Why wouldn't we go after a couple of these guys or one of these guys? To me, that makes sense.
100%. And that's why you draft one, you get one of these guys, like, let's get our defensive end position. Because I think the defensive tackle position, we've got guys like Pascal and Onwuzurike is, I think a free agent, but those two are just such tweeners. It actually kills me because it's like, they're not D tackles. They're not D ends. Can we get a really good rush end? So that's why it just feels like, if you looked at our depth chart or just positions, like, oh, we got guys. It's like, no, I honestly don't think we have more than one guy at defensive end. Remember, it was like, well, James Houston, man, wait till he gets going. And it's like, no, he can't.
Just
so
wait.
Just wait. Here's our guy, Shamar Stewart from
There
Texas
he is.
A&M.
Just making people look silly.
Oh, poor guy from Kansas. That's
not as bad as they used to be.
Yeah, no, that's right.
No, respectable program.
Like their helmets.
You like the big bird on the front?
The bird, I do. I don't. Just the white helmet. Oh my god.
Yeah. I do like a white helmet.
Yeah. Boy, you gotta really be real ugly with it, Or
for those who have hung on, favorite base for a helmet. What do you got? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, are you like the black helmet, the gold helmet, the white helmet? What's your favorite base for a helmet?
Yeah,
if you're just making one.
I think I don't think you go white, but black's good. Depends on, of course, the team, but black helmet. I mean, the gold is sweet, but you got to go hard. You got to go Notre Dame
on a lot of things.
You got to go Notre Dame gold if you're gonna go gold. Like, you can't
agree on a lot of things, but not this.
Oh man, what's your base?
White.
let's start with a white base.
Let's
Like,
start with a white base and have some fun. Like some of my favorite helmets in college football. Now, obviously, Michigan is the best, so you start with a blue base. But are white bases.
Mm.
You know, I
didn't even-
love Tennessee. I do. I love that helmet.
I didn't even think that. I wasn't even thinking about a white base. All right, let's get out of here. Thank you,
Okay, see ya.
everybody, for watching. All right, see ya.
So much fun.